Welcome back to the show. This is the GG33 Podcast, and today I have a special guest because I actually have one of my clients on the show. It's not every day I bring up my clients. This is a person I've given readings to, and not just one reading, but actually a couple of readings. So tell us how it's going, tell us who you are, what do you do, and most importantly, what's your birthday?
Yeah, so once a month I hit Taavet up. Just getting that out there. We go over a lot of stuff, but my name is Brian Baxter, and I'm here in Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm a contractor, and my birthday is 12/31/1982.
12/31/1982. Yeah, it's not every day we have a 9 life path on here. I'll put it like this. You're the first 9 life path on here. Quite possibly one of the last. I'll be honest with you. I ain't having too many 9s on here. But this time I'll make an exception. So, after getting our readings and after talking with me, how much has numerology astrology helped you in your life?
Tremendously. Just by going with, what's good for you, for your sign, your number, everything. It's amazing. It helps you navigate this hard world that we live in, this matrix.
That's what's up. The numerology is the code of the matrix. So on this topic, let me ask you, what is the matrix to you? How would you describe what is the matrix to somebody who's never heard about this stuff before?
I would say it's this world we live in. You always have that question when you're growing up. You're like, why are we here? What's our purpose? Like, what am I doing? And then when you start realizing that things are connected and you're like, yeah, we're living in something, there's something to this. People use religion or God to explain why these mysterious things happen. But I get it. It's just we're in some type of matrix, virtual reality, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Yeah, I get you. See, there's a lot of theories going about. See, every being in existence, everyone who's alive, is probably dealing with some sort of existential crisis, right? This sort of question, why are we here? Every living being has to deal with this question. So, there's a lot of stuff out there that's giving you the easy answers, right? Something like religion is telling you, oh, you are just this creation of God. You have to pray, you have to worship, you are nothing, the God is there. And it's giving you all these answers in a straight up, kind of, forceful way, right? But see, this version of that, we're living in a matrix, that you are part of the ether, and as a self-aware particle of the ether, coming down into a time matrix to experience life. This, in my opinion, makes much more sense because it's actually scientific. When you think about it, time and space, they're creations, right? Time and space are constructs to experience physical manifestation. Within the ether, where our higher self truly lies, there's no time, there's no space. Everything just is. To experience physical manifestation, we need to be within the 3D where essentially electromagnetic energies apply. Right, all the particles combine together through electromagnetic energy. If something doesn't apply, if something doesn't have, how do you say it? If the magnetism doesn't apply to it, then it's outside of the simulation, right? Because everything, the plus minus yin and yang, attract and repel, it has to combine for physical manifestation to work. Whether, starting from the smallest particles into quarks, into gluons, into atoms, into molecules, into something we can see, feel, and touch. See, when you look at CERN and what they're doing, it's, when they were looking for the Higgs boson God particle, the only thing they found was light. So think about it, they were crashing together essentially particles to figure out what's within them. And the only thing they found was sound and light. There's no mass below atoms because light and sound doesn't take up space. It doesn't have weight. So, this is by every means a virtual reality, and 100% numerology astrology is the cheat code of this matrix. So let me ask you this. How have you been able to apply this on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so that's what's crazy. So it all started back though. I got arrested about a year and a half ago, like a month before my enemy year. I had no idea what I was doing. Like I was doing everything the same. Why all of a sudden am I getting hit or things happening to me? So I started doing my research, and that's when I came across GG33 and started learning about your enemy days, your enemy signs, and it all made sense because I got arrested on my enemy day and right before my enemy year.
Yeah, so let's backtrack. You were born 1982, year the dog. So last year,
That's right,
2024,
dog.
they, so last year the dragon, that was your enemy year, right? Walk us through it. How did last year go
Yeah.
for you? You already said a little bit, but
Well, yeah. So I got arrested and I was on probation the entire year of the dragon. And then on January 28th, the judge dismissed my case without prejudice. And so now I got, I'm clean. I'm a free man. And I'm
January
like,
28th,
that's
2025, yeah?
crazy. What's that?
January 2025, year the 2025?
Yeah, this year, January 28th, right
28th.
before the year changed
Right
into Year of the
before.
Snake.
Yeah, exactly. This is the stuff that's gonna make you believe, right? This is the stuff in your dragon year,
Yes.
in your every year, everything goes wrong. As soon as the energy switches to the snake, suddenly it's all good again, right? That's this sort of stuff makes you
Yes.
believe. And that's exactly how this
Yes.
stuff works. Everybody has an enemy year once every 12 years. Nobody escaping from it. And see, the dogs in 2024, honestly, I've never seen it so bad as with the dogs in 2024. I did in 2023. I started doing readings in 2023. My cat year, I'm a cat. So, still doing it. That's, the great imprint. That's how you do it in the friendly years. But essentially in 2023, it was the roosters. They had a shitty time, but it wasn't, it was nothing like 2024, the dogs. And right now, the pigs, I've given readings to plenty of pigs already. It's not, it's they have it bad, but it's nothing like 2024 dogs. I've never seen or heard anything like that as the dogs were going through in 2024. You know why? Because it was an 8 universal year. 8 is the number of karma. So even a lot of people who weren't dogs were getting hit in 2024. Because when the year adds up to 8, all that karma, all that shit you've been doing, everything that's been collecting is suddenly gonna pile down. See, even a lot of dragons had a shitty 2024 because their karma is gonna keep them down, and that's when they paid the debt, right? So when you combine it with your enemy, it makes the dogs out. Literally, I've heard the craziest things from dogs in 2024. But I mean, this year, 2025, right now is is June the 5th. Elon Musk just crashed out. Elon Musk is going war to war against Donald Trump. He literally said that Trump was in Epstein files, that's why they're not releasing it. So you see, Tesla stock has plummeted 14% already, right, on this one day. So shows you how enemy signs really work. But now, what was your reaction after you learned this information? That you're like, oh, enemy year? Walk us through that. How is the realization of this concept?
Well, yeah. So I got a reading with Gary, and he told me just lay low this year. He said, I was going to have a baby even. And he said, don't have a baby this year either. And I was like, okay. So I waited 1 month. And we had a baby here in the Year of the Snake. But like I said, that year, I didn't do anything risky. I just kind of, if my wife told me to do something, I was like, okay, all right, let's do that. Yeah. I didn't want to try to fight her about it. I didn't pick many battles last year is what I'm saying.
No, well done. You did better than most dogs then. Yeah, again, what time did you learn this? What point, at what date did you learn about this information?
Well, so I got arrested, whatever, in like November of 2023 on my enemy day. And then I started doing I started doing research in January of 2024. And that's when I stumbled upon GG33 and Gary. And I was like, I need to reach out to him to find out, how can I protect myself knowing all this stuff about your enemy year. And, Gary's given all these examples of famous people. And at that time, it was the guy from Friends who had just died in his enemy year in his hot tub. And he was making examples, just people getting hit. And I was like, so I got a reading with him, and that's what he told me. Just, don't do anything risky this year. Don't have a baby. And so I didn't. I just kept low. And it sucks though, because I'm a contractor and I kind of had my worst year in the last 10 years. Just didn't make that, even though I was just going to work, doing my thing, just the opportunities weren't there.
Yeah, I get it. Honestly, I commend you for it because in your enemy years, it's better to have a boring year than to have a year full of taking losses, right? This is the advice I
Yeah.
give to people in my readings to just take it easy. Grab a drink, go to the beach, and wait it out. That's what you do in your enemy years. You
Well,
just chill out, you relax, you travel, you enjoy yourself because what else is there to do, right? You started going hard, it's
right.
not gonna work out. Most people who don't know this stuff in the enemy years, everybody wants to be successful. So they go in hard, they're trying to make things happen. It doesn't work out, they go from bad to worse, right? And that's, people mess up
Right.
because they do too much. So think about it, like when you're playing dice, when something's a 50-50 chance, in your enemy it's gonna be a 70-30 against you. So again, to work around it, don't roll the dice. Don't take the chance. Don't put yourself in a situation to take any risks. This is the advice I give to pigs this year. Lay low. And goddamn, I wish I knew this in 2017. I wish someone told me this when I was 17, right? I literally had a reading today with a, 17-year-old pig. I was telling him the same thing. I wish someone told me this year in 2017 in my enemy year. But again, now you got through
Yeah.
it. You got 11 years of nothing to worry about. You got through it, right? Everybody gets hit no matter who they are. That's part of the matrix. That's part of the yin and yang system. Everybody has good years, everybody has bad years because there's no one without the other. There's no success without failure. There's no happiness without sadness. We come down into this matrix to experience both sides of life. We don't come here just for the good part. We come for the yin and the yang. A slice of pizza wouldn't taste half as good if you didn't have hunger, right? So this concept of, polarity and duality, in many ways it's a corruption of the original form, of the original oneness, but at the end of the day it's gonna teach us a lot of lessons. And that's why we are here in this matrix, right? We are here to learn, we are here to evolve, because as a particle of the ether, I believe there are thousands, if not millions, of different matrices out there, each offering unique existence to experience. So let's say, the ether, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit, but see, the ether has two sides to it. There's the ether particles, which act as the worker bees. Then there's the self-aware ether particles, like you and me, who have come into self-awareness, who want to take on the role of a queen bee, who don't want to be the ones just giving the power, who want to be the ones using the power. See, but when you are in the ether and everything just is, life can get a little dull, right? There's no time, there's no space, everything just is. You can't taste the strawberry, you can't feel the heartbreak of rejection. Everything just is at all times, right? You're one with everything. So what the ether particles do is they start building time matrices, a platform with time, so you can anticipate tomorrow and remember yesterday. A platform with space, you can travel vast distances and experience every aspect of it, right? So we build these places as a playground to essentially experience life and to build and to use that energy of the ether. Because the concept of the ether is really beautiful, just like the queen bee and the worker bees. Without the queen bee, the worker bees and the ether particles would be just there in stasis, right? In stasis, nobody to command the free energy. Without the worker bees, the queen bee wouldn't have anybody to command. So it's literally a symbiosis that forms this manifestation physical reality that allows us to experience life. A lot of people need to be more grateful of it. A lot of people need to be more grateful of life. And I ask you this I'll get back to you in a second, but I just want to tell you, I gave a reading yesterday to a woman, and shout at you if you're watching this. I don't mean anything negative, but she's living in Canada, and a brilliant life, right? Everything is good, and she's telling me about these problems that she has. Her sister hasn't talked to her in a year, right? Her mom hasn't told her the things she wants her mom to tell her. I'm like, those are good problems to have. Those are good problems to have, because at the end of the day, it could always be worse. See, when you have gratitude for the life around you, you can never be down, because it literally could always be worse. You could be broke, but at least you have a roof over your head. You might not have a roof over your head, but you might be disabled. It could always get worse. So one of the best ways to evolve as a soul and to experience life to the fullest is to show gratitude. Do you agree with that?
That's right. Absolutely. And life is so delicate, Taavet. back in 2016, I had a cardiac arrest. My wife
Damn.
found me on the floor. She started doing CPR on me, and went to the hospital. I got a ICD in my chest, so I have this defibrillator now to save me. But the doctors never knew why I had this cardiac arrest. And so it kind of brings me back to this whole thing. And then when I learned from you, my enemy day, I had a cardiac arrest on my enemy day. And I'm
Damn.
like, that's
Well, let me
crazy.
tell you this.
So it's like this life is so important, so fragile. And like you said, we have to be grateful for everything because, I'd be dead by now if my wife hadn't saved me.
Damn. So again, that's how it is. People, you gotta be grateful of what you have. It could always be worse. So again, there's no point of feeling down and comparing yourself to other people that you don't have what someone else has because you are on your own journey. See, in my readings, I talk a lot about authenticity because I believe authenticity is the only way for you to evolve. You can't fake being somebody you're not and expect to evolve as a soul. Right? It's not gonna work. You have to own up to who you truly are and accept your life journey in this lifetime. See, again, I believe we go through thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of different lifetimes in our soul journey. So one lifetime you might be king, another lifetime you're gonna be a peasant. So are you gonna, if stuff is not working out, maybe those are the lessons you have to learn in this lifetime, right? There's always the yin and the yang. We go through everything, all sides of life, because those are what's going to teach us the lessons. So let me ask you this. With numerology astrology as a contractor, have you been able to use this information in your business?
Yeah, that's what I was telling you at our last reading. Like I said, I check in with Taavet about once a month. I get a reading from him. Gary's too expensive, but Taavet's gives you all the good information for a deal.
Yeah,
So
not to take
I'm a
anything
business
away. No,
owner.
wait. Not to take anything away from Gary. He's the GOAT. He's the master. He's the top G. But essentially, the real advantage.
But he's expensive.
Yeah. You know what's the
exactly.
real
You can
advantage?
afford it.
You know what's the only real advantage I have over Gary? I have more time. I have more time to give you guys.
Well,
I
yeah,
can spend. Most of my readings.
right?
Yeah, most of my readings nowadays go about like over an hour. Hour 10 minutes, hour 15 minutes. That's normal because I have the time to give you
We
guys.
thought, yeah.
I'm doing my own thing here. I'm chilling. I'm happy to help you guys. With Gary, he's got 1,000 things going on at once. 1,000
Right.
people calling his phone wanting something from it. So again,
Right.
it's he's the best by far when it comes to numerology astrology, but he taught me to do the readings, and I have more time for you guys. So that's my real advantage
For sure.
over him. So anyways, let's get back to you.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, if you can afford Gary, for sure. But if you can afford him, here you go. You got a lot of great knowledge, like what you've given me, and that's why I check in with you every once a month because, for example, I found out the time of day I was born at. And so you have an enemy time. And I realized during that enemy time, I was getting hit by like people calling me up saying, hey, you messed up on your job, or they would call and they would cancel me during those hours that was my enemy time, my bad time. And then so what I changed is so I just kind of take a break during those hours, don't answer my phone. And then when my time comes around during the day, then I make those phone calls and then I do my bids or I do, push hard during those hours.
Yeah. So essentially, have you noticed when you do stuff during your lucky time of the day, you have a big increase of success, right?
Yes. So that's what I do now. So I know my times. Okay, this is the time I'm going to go bid a new job. This is the time I'm going to, send that quote or that email. And if I do it during those hours, it's like a 95% chance that I like get the job or do something right. But if I do it during that negative time, it backfires.
That's what it's all about. See, with numerology astrology, what we're really doing is studying the yin and yang energy cycles. When you think about it, this matrix, every particle has a plus and minus side. There's, one particle spins clockwise, other particle spins counterclockwise. When you look at, energy, every wavelength, it goes up and down. Where it's light or sound, energy moves in waves of up and down. That's the way this game is built. So essentially, with numerology astrology, we're studying the yin and yang cycles. Every person, no matter who you are, goes through waves of happiness and sadness, success and failure. There's no one without the other. But by learning about these natural cycles, you can use them to your advantage instead of being used by them. Some people you work well with, some people you don't. Some days are really good for you, some days are not. That's how it's supposed to be in this 3D version of this current matrix, right? So again, by learning about these codes, you can use them to your advantage instead of being used by them, right? You essentially become the cause instead of the effect in your own life. And there's a lot of power in that. So the lucky times, I've given this advice to hedge fund managers. In Miami, there was a guy on a 9 LIFEPATH, by the way, born on the 28th, who was a hedge fund manager in Miami. He stopped trading on his unlucky times, only trading on his lucky times. I've given this advice to artists, stand-up comedians who started going on stage during the lucky times and reported back to me, this stuff works. It's crazy. They're getting more laughs, they're getting more booking. It's going great. I've given this advice to social content creators, social media people who are only posting during the friendly times. And that's what I do as well, right? So it's really key to understand. But again, that's not something we can talk in public. That's something for the readings, right? By the way, Brian, let me ask you this: Have you got your package of Shungite yet?
I haven't. No,
It should be coming. Couple of days now. Any couple of days, it should be coming. This is Shungite. This is the best crystal in the world. You know why? Because the power of this stone, it blocks EMF radiation. This is one of the only really crystals in the world. You should, a lot of crystals are good, but this is the best one because not just some spiritual, mumbo jumbo stuff that they tell is gonna balance your chakras and shit. This is something that has real life physical effect because what it does, it blocks that EMF radiation from all the electricity, from all the electric devices, from Wi-Fi, from 5G radiation. We are constantly living in a fucking microwave. Especially like I'm living in a forest, but if you're living in a big city, you are like, let's say you live in an apartment, right? Every floor, every fucking, every apartment has its own Wi-Fi router. Within all the walls, it's surrounded by wires, right? This is electricity, dark matter electricity that's generating friction, that's literally sending off radiation, burning your DNA. And Shungite is one of those crystals that literally blocks EMF, right? This blocks those electromagnetic fields, and what it does is literally a miracle. This is the best particle, this is the best crystal in the world because it's filled with C60 Buckminster fullerness particles that literally absorb free electrons and convert them into positive ions. It's a miracle, right? Everybody needs to have this crystal in your house. So I have a store for that, 28 Shungite. I get it straight from the source. What's interesting, this only comes from one place in the world. Only one place in the world this particle comes from a little lake in Russia. A Shunga lake in northwest Russia, which is like next to Finland, is the Karelia regions, is literally, it's the only place they come from. And I get it straight from the source, and I will hook you guys up. And I keep the prices very low. I keep like my competitors who are also dealing with Shungite. I have the same suppliers, many of them. Because I know the wholesale prices. So, my competitors are selling a Shungite phone sticker for $10 a piece. I'm selling for $3.50. Because I'm not just about the bag. I'm about helping people. And when it's my mission to get Shungite to as many people as in the world as possible, check out 28 Shungite. This hook you up. This is gonna protect you, boost your wellness. And Brian, I hope you get your package soon because I hooked you up. I gave you the best of the best.
I'm waiting on it.
I gave you the best. It should come every day. Last couple of days, people have received it. You should get it yours soon as well. But now let me ask you this about numerology astrology. How much have you studied it in depth? What's next for you? Are you ready to take the next step? Are you ready to keep learning? How much have you evolved spiritually ever since learning this information?
Well, yeah, it's crazy. Like I said, when you start learning like your enemy days, your enemy numbers, then I realized why people, were fighting with me. People don't like me because they were certain enemy numbers of mine, and I'm like, this is just crazy. And then just knowing everybody's numbers, um, I've got 4 kids, and so I
Mm-hmm.
know all their numbers now, and all they're good and they're bad, and it's funny, you can just see how it applies. It is like you say, it's the cheat codes to this matrix, because you can prove it. It's not some holistic thing that it's like real. You
It's
can see it
science,
every
right? It's
day.
science, and that's what separates GG33 from everybody else around us, every other numerologist, because we look at it as a science, right? Anything we put out there, it doesn't come from a book, it doesn't come from a website. We don't say anything and expect you to believe in it. We actually give examples. So what Gary did is essentially he threw away all the books when he started learning this stuff at my age. He threw away all of that stuff, all of the books, and started piecing it together himself. He was going out there, asking people questions, asking their birthdays, studying, every day, and making those connections himself. Because that's the only way to do it. It has to be scientific. If it works for one person,
Hmm.
it must work for everybody else as well. Otherwise, there's no value in it. And of course, there's exceptions within exceptions within exceptions. That's advanced numerology. But at the end of the day, you have to apply it on a big scale. So what a lot of
Well,
amateur
yeah.
numerologists do, they say stuff, so just because something makes sense to you, it doesn't make it real. That's what they get wrong. In numerology, it's so easy to bullshit people. It's so easy to come up with some random stuff and make it seem believable. That's the easiest thing to do, literally. And again, a lot of them fail because it's just because it makes sense to them. They think that's the truth, when at the end of the day, it has to apply on a big scale. Make sense?
Yep. Yes, yeah, absolutely. That's the crazy thing. You can apply like everything you've told me. I can go out there and test it. You'll tell me, something, whether it's my enemy day or my enemy time, and I can see it happen. I can prove it, and that's why I'm like, this stuff is crazy, but it works.
That's how it is. It seems crazy at first. It does seem crazy.
Yeah.
It does seem crazy. But see, my knowledge goes like above numerology, astrology as well. I know a lot about health, and for example, I'm happy to have helped you with a lot of stuff as well. So one of the
Yep.
things I told you was to get on a parasite cleanse. Have you started that yet?
Yep. Yeah, I did actually. Did a little bit of research, and the number one game changer though was the moringa powder.
Mm.
So I started doing that every day, and I got all sorts of energy. It's
Yeah. Feels good,
you know,
right?
it,
You don't need
moringa
coffee.
leaf
You take
powder.
you
I
take
couldn't
you take a
believe.
teaspoon of moringa in the morning. You don't need coffee. You don't need any boosters. That's what's gonna get you up. See, moringa powder is one of the best things I recommend to people because it's called the miracle tree. It cures incurable disease. See, I know a healer who has healed 10,000 people just with moringa, literally. And she has healed people with cancer, with all these different things, just with moringa powder. It's a leaf of a tree, literally fully holistic, just a ground up leaf of a tree that just is one of the best things to put in a body, because at the end of the day, there's so many synthetics, so many chemicals everywhere around us. We need some of these cheat codes to help us out in this life. Would you agree?
Yes. And so ever since you told me about taking that moringa leaf powder, I've noticed like all these nutrition companies are promoting moringa. They're like, hey, there's moringa leaf powder in our new makeup. And so it is something that is catching on, and and I can tell you it does work for real. I put it in my coffee every morning. Like you said, you don't need coffee, but I put it in my coffee so I can mix it up. And like I said, that stuff, it works. I
Yeah.
swear by that.
100%. See, and a lot of time, you know what? So, what was a beautiful message I got recently? I got the most beautiful text message I could ever get, because it was a person I had given a reading to 1 month ago, right? And they randomly wrote back to me and said, "Yo, thank you for the reading. It was great. And thank you for the advice you gave to my daughter." Because that person's daughter had epilepsy, right? bad epilepsy. So, what I told her is to put her on a heavy metal detox, right? To try to detox heavy metals from your body. And she wrote me 4 weeks into the detox, she hasn't had any episodes. It's a massive change, right? She hasn't had any problems since, and she was so grateful for me to tell her that advice. That's what we do in these readings. It's just not about numerology astrology. We can help with every aspect of life. And it brings me literally the biggest joy to know that a little kid who had problems is now not having problems anymore because something so simple as putting on a heavy metal detox. Because that's one of the biggest problems out there. There's heavy metals in the foods, heavy metals in the drinks, heavy metals in the pharmacy stuff, anything you put in your body and in the environment, there's some heavy metal particles in it. You know why? Because think about it, when you consume heavy metals, it's only a little bit at a time, but once they, more and more and more, they start collecting in within your body. So what's gonna happen is you're now in 5G, frequencies, you're now in a Wi-Fi, you're now, being affected by possibly thousands of different electromagnetic frequencies. And as you know, heavy metals, ferrometals, they conduct electricity, right? So now those things in your body are conducting those frequencies and essentially, programming you, right? And causing all these problems. I don't know what we can say in YouTube, but most of the, a lot of kids with autism got a jab at birth, right? And a lot of parents who put their kids on a heavy metal detox cured autism, right? So these are the things we are dealing with in this world. Everything is poison. Literally, everything is out to get you. That's, the crazy thing people don't realize. You know why? Because people, some might call them sheep, but at the end of the day, that's in a negative way. But, on a kind of looking at it from a positive way, sheep are trusting, right? Sheep are trusting their shepherd. They put the faith in them, in the man who's guiding them. They can't expect, the sheep being led to a slaughterhouse doesn't expect their shepherd to lead them to a dark path. Because it's not within their brain to, detect lies. It's not there in their brain to detect, false play, right? So a lot of people think the same way. That's the problem with it. A lot of people think the same way. They don't expect the government to be against them. They're like, why would the government want to hurt me? We're all in this together. They don't expect there to be some big evil conspiracy trying to shut them down. And again, this kind of trusting that's coded within a lot of humans' DNA is unfortunately what the elite are exploiting, right? That's the problem. People are too trusting. So again, some might say, oh, you're sheep, you don't know this, you don't care, you're a sheep, saying it in a negative way. But I look at it, in many ways, it's a beautiful thing. Because you're supposed to trust people, right? In a perfect world, you wouldn't have those issues, right? So again, it's up to us to kind of, in many ways, wake them up to the cruel world, wake them up to the reality around them. That, it's not all flowers. See, and...
well, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I believe that because we are pack animals, right? We like to be in a pack. They say the lone wolf dies by himself, right? He's out there, he dies because he's the lone wolf. So we need our people, we need our pack. And so sometimes I guess we're too trusting of everything. And so, but I get that. Yeah, you want to trust everybody around you.
Mm-hmm. Why would the government want bad for you, right? We all in this together.
Yeah,
why would they lie about the moon landing?
And so they use that.
Yeah. Why would they lie about the moon landing? We're progressing as humanity. A lot of people, they just can't comprehend it. And you know what it all comes down to?
Right.
Their pineal gland. The pineal gland. This is again one of the biggest things. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it was crazy because they have pushed, cigarette smoking so bad. It's so bad, it's so bad, it's so bad. And yet, my mom smoked 2 packs a day and she's still living. And she's old, I'm like,
let me guess.
I get it. There is cancer. You can get cancer from cigarettes and everything. But when the government pushes something so hard, why? Why are they doing that?
Your mom, she didn't get COVID, did she?
No, she didn't.
Okay, wonder why. Wonder why. See,
never got COVID, never got vaccinated. I never got vaccinated because I got this heart problem. and I heard there was some problems with the vaccine in people with heart, and so I used that as my excuse. I said, "Hey, if I heard this can affect your heart, I just had a cardiac arrest 4 years ago. This is 2020. I'm not getting that vaccine." And they push that hard, right?
Yeah,
Everybody's
yeah.
got to get the vaccine. Everybody got to get it. And it's like,
I
if,
get you.
if
I
they're
get
telling
you.
everybody to do something, such as everybody quit smoking or everybody get this vaccine, I just don't trust it. It's like, why would they be doing that?
Yeah, yeah. The thing with smoking is it has to be organic, right? Tobacco, like
Yeah.
organic tobacco, is not bad for you. And again, I'm not monetized. I hope this doesn't get me demonetized. But at the end of the day, if the elite were trying to kill you, they wouldn't need to put 6,000 chemicals in tobacco if it was bad on its own,
Mm.
right? Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Why would they need to put
Yeah.
literally actually it's like 3,000 chemicals that turn to 6,000 chemicals when you light it on fire, right? They wouldn't need to put that stuff in there if it was originally bad for you. So, the Indians, or
Right.
Native Americans, they were smoking a lot. They never had problems with. They never had lung cancer. That stuff didn't exist back in the day because they were smoking organic. So that's what
Yeah.
I gotta watch what I say
That's
here. But one of the things, organic nicotine is not bad for people. Organic nicotine is actually in many ways extremely beneficial. It's anti-parasitical. It's as we go into nanites and AI within the body, AI little nanobots within the food and the medicine and the drinks, drinks around us. That's a whole nother topic. I'll leave that topic for another day. We'll come back to that. But yeah, 100%. And the thing with this, a lot of people nowadays don't even know what fluoride is. This is my problem. I'm within my circle. I have my own friends on the same frequency. So it always surprises me when I talk to so-called normal people. When I talk to somebody who's not into this sort of stuff that I am in, right? So when I tell them about fluoride, they're like, "No, what is that? What is fluoride, right? What is your pineal gland? What does it work?" And literally, I gave a reading a couple of days ago to a woman, and she was worrying about her mission in life, what she's supposed to be, what's her higher purpose. And then only way to figure it out is kind of to decalcify her pineal gland, because once you're connected to your higher self, those kind of problems, you get the answers for it. And she was like, "What's the pineal gland? What's fluoride?" I'm explaining to her why fluoride is bad. It calcifies your pineal gland and dumbs you down because your teeth are connected to your pineal gland. Think about it, your teeth are like literal crystals built by your body. Your teeth are literal crystals generated by your avatar that are, conducting electricity and energy. A different kind of electricity, not dark matter electricity that's going through the wires, but a different kind of piezoelectric electricity, cold fusion energy that your body is functioning on. Right, so that's why they put fluoride in the water and in the toothpaste to mess with your teeth. So it kind of literally translates to your pineal gland. And you know what she told me?
So,
I told her, wait. I told her about
yeah.
fluoride, and she told me her toothpaste has extra fluoride because of the teeth. Again, I was like,
Yeah.
bomba clot. I was like, damn, you need to throw that shit away. And she got a reading from me. I was surprised, you even getting to the point of getting a reading when you have extra fluoride toothpaste. So again, it is what it is. Everybody's on their own journey, but again, that's part of the awakening. Think about it. People with extra fluoride toothpaste are getting readings and are waking up. That's part of the separation.
Yep.
Let's get back to you, sir.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. So when you had mentioned that about the fluoride, I started doing some research, and so I'm like, okay, I'm not going to brush my teeth with fluoride toothpaste anymore. I already have water filtration on my house. So I get it all filtered, no water, but I was always brushing my teeth, twice a day with fluoride toothpaste. So I quit doing that, and I just got some, fluoride free toothpaste.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, my dreams are crazy. I am having dreams every night that are just it seems like just more, I don't know how to explain it, but I know once I quit doing that fluoride on the toothpaste, I started having more intense dreams.
Yeah, I get it. One of the strongest theories I've heard with dreams is that you're visiting your other timelines. Because, as a consciousness, as a soul, you're not only here, you are right now in 100 1020, fuck, I forgot the number, 128.7 or something like that. 14 times 14, add it up. So essentially, you know, you are, as a consciousness, you are in different timelines at all times, right? So, you know, when you're dreaming, you're visiting one of your other timelines. So when you see some crazy stuff happening, most likely you're visiting your other timelines and they be going through it. You know, they are going through literally those crazy, you know, situations, right? That's one of the best theories I've heard. But you know, when it comes to the fluoride, you know, again, I hope I can say this on YouTube, but it all started with the Germans in World War II. See, in the Germans, the SS, in their concentration camps, they started putting fluoride in the prisoners' food. They started feeding the prisoners fluoride so they wouldn't be less likely to resist, right? So, and at the end of World War II, when Germany lost and Operation Paperclip happened, yeah, I hope I can say this. When Operation Paperclip happened, the Americans took all the Nazi scientists, supposedly, and put them into top positions. So the mainstream version is that Americans didn't want to, you know, let those Nazi scientists who are bright minds go into the other side, go into the Soviet Union. But I think the more logical and the kind of conspiracy tinfoil hat version is that the Germans actually won World War II and they took over America. You know, because all of those Nazi scientists got into positions of power. They got to the top. They weren't the worker bees. They wouldn't put, you know, their skills to test. They were the ones making the decisions after Operation Paperclip. And then you started getting fluoride in the water. Then you started getting, sugar syrup or corn syrup in the foods. You know, these sort of things. You can look it up.
Yeah.
That stuff didn't exist before World War II. The Nazi scientists took the research from concentration camps and put it into work against North Americans, right? Literally to dumb people down, to hurt people, and block them off from reaching their, you know, higher self. Because your pineal gland is essentially like your antenna. See, when we're talking about dimensions, you know, every dimension in this world is in the same place at the same time. Because light and sound doesn't take up space, you know? So just like the radio channels are all in your ear, all in the air at the same time. But it's up to you and your radio to tune into one of those frequencies, right? You know, if you can't hear what's playing 120 hertz, if your radio is playing at 80 hertz. Just like you can't see into the 5th, 6th, or 7th dimension if your pineal gland, your antenna, is tuned to the 3rd dimension. That's how frequencies work in this matrix, and when you block off your pineal gland through fluoride and calcifying it, it literally blocks you out from higher dimensions, blocks you out from higher realities, and blocks you off from your higher self. See, within this matrix, right now, me and you, this is just a fraction of who we truly are. Our higher self, that's still in the deity planes, that's still in the aether, you know, kind of watching over us and trying to command us. But, you know, we are just a tiny fraction of our own true self playing in this video game right now. And our pineal gland is like the antenna. That's the connection to our higher self. So what they lead to, they cut off that, you know, connection. They fluoride our brain, they calcify our pineal gland, so we forget who we truly are. We forget our true connection, because then you're much more likely to be controlled. You know, when you think this life is only one there is to it, when you think that's all there is to life, you're not gonna fight against stuff because you're afraid of dying. You're not supposed to be afraid of dying. There's no such thing as death, because when you die, you know, your awareness is going to its next journey in the next minute. That's one of the things, again, people have to realize, you know, your awareness is eternal. Your spirit, your soul, that's who you truly are. And again, we come down into this matrix to experience life. To experience, you know, because as a body you need to have as a soul, to experience life you need to have a body. As a body, you need to have a platform. You know, that's Earth. We come down into this Earth to literally play the game, to evolve and become more rich in spirit. Literally like playing a video game. You know, this world, this Earth, this matrix is like GTA if it took trillions of years to develop. Right? GTA 6, it has taken like 12 years to develop. The GTA called Earth has taken trillions of human years to develop. It's that advanced, but at the end of the day, it's the same concept. So that's one of the things people,
Yep.
playing a lot of GTA and playing video games, you're essentially putting yourself in a matrix within the matrix, right? That's a psyop. That's keeping you even more stuck here. And another point I want to get to before we wrap this up is AI. How do you feel about AI, Baxter?
Well, it is helpful, right? You can use it to do anything almost these days. Yeah, I just hope it doesn't replace me one day. So I'm a contractor. I serve people, and there might be robots doing what I can do one day. So that's what I'm afraid of. What if I teach my kids what I'm doing, but robots are replacing, the contractor.
Yeah. So I'll put it like this. ChatGPT is free to use, right?
Right.
Nothing is free in this world.
Right.
Nothing is free. Look at the things that are free. The chab was free. Porn is free. Because what do you pay with? ChatGPT is free. Because you pay with something. Because you pay with something other than money. That's the thing. That's the thing. You pay with something other than money, right? Nothing is free in this world. So if something is free and it's pushed upon people, you gotta be careful about it. See, I believe AI is another test. See, COVID was a test, right? Taking the vaccine was a test of humanity. Who are the ones rejecting it? Who are the ones able to move forward? Who are the ones not listening to what people are forcing them upon, but staying true to their authentic self and who they truly are and their authentic values, right? That was a test. Either you get in line like a sheep or you reject and you really stay true to their values. Do you think there is really only one test in the world? Do you think that was the last test? I think AI is another
Probably
test.
not.
I think AI is another test because at the end of the day, what is happening is the evolving people at rapid frequency, rapid velocity, right? It's devolving people faster than anything else has ever done before because people, they want to be enslaved. They want someone to tell them what to do instead of trying themselves and failing and becoming more rich in spirit through their experiences. They want to ask somebody, what should I do? And then the AI is the perfect tool telling them the perfect option, and they're like, yeah, great, I'll go with that. But at the end of the day, you're not learning anything from it. You're giving away your responsibility to something else. So that's kind of the problem with technology in many ways. It's a double-edged sword. It really is a double-edged sword. You look at the smartphone, you look at the internet, we can learn nowadays, stuff in a week that you would have taken you 20 years in a university to study before, right? So there's so much potential. You can connect with people all over the world and share your message, but the other side of the blade is devolving people at a rapid frequency as well. So it really is a double-edged sword. And I'll end it like this. I think it's very funny that in 2019, 19 is the number of bad health. First you had 5G. 5G went live. That was the step one. Then you had the jab. Then you had COVID. And then came AI. And now AI is like the number one thing that suddenly skyrocketed and everybody's using it and they're pushing it on. So that just tells me that stuff is connected. And again, I don't have all the answers, but I do know that shit ain't good for you. That shit, when you have motherfuckers nowadays who'd rather ask AI if the sun is out instead of watching out the window. These are people who want to be enslaved. They want somebody to govern them instead of looking out the window themselves. It all goes back to authenticity. Who you truly are and what you truly believe in and your authentic journey in this matrix, right? You're not supposed to let anyone tell you who you can or can't be. Just like you're not supposed to, let anyone tell your worth, because you set your own worth when you came down into this existence. That's the law of one. That's authenticity. That's the most important message at this point. And we're getting to the end of it, so I'll wrap it up with this. Law of one. If anyone is still watching this, congratulations, you made it through. So I'll give this gem to you. Laugh one.
Not that bad. Come on now.
No, I mean it's YouTube. Most people drop off after like 5 minutes. You know, it's just out there dealing with statistics, right? The ones who stay true, the ones who want to the end, you're the real ones, you get in this jam. Love one is the most important message going forward. Love one is, you know, treating others as you want to be treated. That's gonna be the test, that's gonna be the measuring post for you to get forward and ascend to the next dimension. Because when you can live in compassion and honor with the world around you, then you can prove yourself worthy of going to the next dimension. Love one, like I said, is about treating others as you want to be treated. So let's say choosing service to others over service to self. Think about it, if every person had a service to others mindset, it would be a perfect reality. There would be no problems because the people take care of the problems together as a collective. Problems come from people who only care about themselves, think they're more important than everybody else, they can take from the neighbor to get to the top no matter what it is, right? No matter what it takes.
Yeah.
That's service to self that goes against the law of one. Law of one is about putting the well-being of the collective ahead of your own interest. So you wouldn't do something for personal gain if you're hurting everybody else around you and you're the only one benefiting from it. That's service to self again, right? Let's say you're walking down a street and you see a little girl getting beat up and you don't do nothing about it. It's the same thing as you doing it yourself. Because, you know, you close your eyes and kept walking. You know, you do nothing. You see what's going on and you do nothing. You might as well kick the little girl yourself, right? Karmically. Because law of one is about putting, you know, treating others as you want to be treated. So we go in there, protect the innocent, even if it means we put ourselves into danger. Even if it's 10 guys kicking one little girl, you go in there and do what it takes, because at the end of the day, if you in that girl's shoes, you want somebody to help you out as well. That's treating others as you want to be treated. That's taking responsibility. And again, that's just one violent example, but at the end of the day, the same concept applies to every step of our journey. Treat others as you want to be treated through honor and compassion. Now, love one also deals with authenticity. Authenticity is the highest form of vibration and the only way we can truly evolve. See, throughout history, a lot of people have said love is the highest vibration. But authenticity is one step above love. Because, you know, if you want to be an asshole, go out and be an asshole. Be a bad person if that's who you truly are within your DNA, instead of faking it, right? So, you know, when you're faking it, you can't evolve. So what's going to happen is one day that person is going to wake up and realize they don't want to be an asshole anymore. They want to help people. They want to do something different. And that's the moment they evolve. But they can't get there when they're lying to themselves. They can't get there when they're being dishonest about who they truly are, right? So again, a lot of religious people, which should be another topic we do next time, religion. We didn't touch too much.
Let's talk some more. You know, it's I can tell you all about how, you know, you've helped me, and this stuff is crazy how it works. But I'm telling you, it works, and you know, it's awesome.
Yeah,
thank you, Taavet.
I get you. But my point was, a lot of religious people, they preach about being righteous, but behind closed doors is a different story. A lot of Muslims, they think they can be degenerate and, you know, go praise God, all is forgiven, so they can run back to being a degenerate. No. Life doesn't work like that. You're putting a stop to your own development if you don't own up to it. You have to own up to who you truly are, because that's the only way you're gonna evolve authentically as a soul. That's your journey. So what the problem is AI is doing is the least authentic thing in the world. You're not making decisions based off your own thoughts and your own authenticity. You're making decisions by giving responsibility away to something else. Giving responsibility away to an algorithm that's going to calculate it. So again, you might, get better results in general, but it's not going to evolve you as a soul. And is that a worthy trade-off? I don't think it is. I think you're meant to go fail. I think you're meant to fail and go through challenges, because that's what's going to push you to evolve and become more rich in spirit. So the last thing I tell about authenticity, how can I say this? No one can tell what you're worth. No one else can tell what you are worth, because you set your own worth when you came down into this existence. No one can set your value as a person, as a soul, because you set your own value when you came down into physical manifestation. So again, you as a soul, you came down within this matrix with the one goal, and one goal not only, to evolve, to become more rich in spirit, to get better at manifestation reality. So again, that's what, and you let others do the same thing. That's law of one. You don't put anybody above you. Worship like religion. Again, we're not gonna get into it today, but religion has you putting, something above you, and everybody else who's not, following that person is below you. That's messing up your karma. That's messing up the law of one. You're not supposed to put anybody above you, just like you're not supposed to put anybody below you, because at the end of the day, we're all part of the matrix. We're all part of the ether. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's great, Taavet. Nothing above you, nothing below you. But I know you don't want to get into religion, but that's how religion is constructed, right? You're praying something above you, and why does it have to be above you? Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
Why does it have
Makes
to
sense,
be more
right?
powerful than you?
Makes sense. See, a lot of spiritual
I mean,
subjects, when you break them down into scientific terms, it starts making a lot more sense. Because spirituality and science were never meant to be split apart. But now we're getting into 1 hour mark. I have so much more to talk about. I'm so much short. Let us know. This is Brian Baxter on a show, the 9 Life Path Talk, the only 9 Life Path we'll have on there.
Yeah.
So let us know in the comments if you want to see another episode with Brian, if you want to see him return on the show, and we can make it happen. But right now, we'll wrap it up. If you want a reading, get a reading. We'll properly wake you up and teach you the tools of numerology astrology. And Brian, close it out. 9 is the number of completion, so feel free to close it out. Do you have any closing messages to the world?
Yeah, like I was saying, hit Taavet up. Like I said, it's worth. I hit him up almost once a month. I get so busy with all my work and all my success, I don't have time. But I try to make time once a month, just go over the numbers again. Go over, hey, how's this working? Hey, I got a contract I need to sign. Should I do it on this date? So I mean, it's paid for itself already. So that's all I can say is, and it works. This stuff works. It's real. And people who try to debunk it, I'm like you said earlier, there's always an exception to the rule, but the exception doesn't prove the rule. And so it's similar to statistics. You kind of look at what is the greatest percentage of something happening. And when you start following the numerology and the astrology, you have a higher percentage of it happening. Of course, it's not going to happen every time. It's not to a T, but you look at percentages. And if you can go off that percentage, hey, we need every edge in life, especially in this world. It's so hard to make money. It's so hard. I got my nanny telling me the other day, everything's so expensive. Everything is so expensive. And I'm like, right, so you have to do everything possible to get that edge. And numerology, Taavet, you gave me that edge, so that's why I'm sticking with you.
Let's go. You heard it here first. See you guys in the next one.